Omniverse. I am Joe Bear.
I'm Zach.
I'm Diego.
And this is Behind the Beard.
Or lack thereof.
Welcome to this week's episode, where we hope that each conversation helps spark an idea, a thought, or help your journey to be a better you, as we are trying to do the same every week. Today, we are continuing our series about communication, and we're going to speak about communication pathways to motivate and empower others. We're staying on theme that we are influencers that can have a tremendous impact to each other. Leaders are not afraid to make someone else's problems their own, and we help solve friction points to make it easier for others. We are the first, but not the last, to hear of these friction points and find ways to automate and optimize. Now, with that, let's dive in.
All right, but first, let's talk about New Year. What are you guys' resolutions?
I don't know. I will jokingly say New Year, new me, you know? But I don't feel like I do a full reservation, or I just said reservation. Is that's not what it's called.
You didn't do reservations?
You have reservations about resolutions? That's understandable.
I do New Year's reservations, okay.
Now, Zach, do your reservations on resolutions happen because you don't follow through with them, or you're just always working on being better?
I feel I just stick to, I have a commitment type of thing. Like this past year, I would say probably started June or July, where I was fitness. And I think I'm on the 6th, I'm an Apple Watch person over here. So I think it's 4 or 5 months maybe now in a row that I've closed all my rings consecutively. So I have that going on. That's kind of my, I don't want to call it my reservation. Because that's now what I'm calling them. But I don't know. I've always done the cliche ones of I'm going to read more this year, or I'm going to travel more. And then I feel I just say it and I don't do it. I don't know. What about you all?
I think I'm right in the same pathway. I take the month in the new year, new me, and I say, you know what, let's go bold, right? And let's try something different. I'm going to go on a 700 calorie deficit for the month. I want to do it every day. I'm going to do something super challenging just to try it out, right? Something it's usually fitness or mindset, reason, we'll go there. But I choose things that I know are not long-term sustainable, that aren't going to be who I want to become in 5-10 years. But it's okay, I just need to cut out sugar for the month. Because I've been eating since October, right? And so now let's reset it. Or, I need to reset the caffeine intake, or I need to reset something along those pathways to kind of help build that motivation, that little daily discipline. So I stop staying complacent with what I have been and, kind of kick it forward. I do have one, and I'm going to try something different and something I've been reading lately. And this one is super not cool. And I'm telling you already. Well, it is super cool. I'm gonna try 30 days of cold showers.
I once lived in an apartment, and this is Guatemala City, so weather is not that much of a complication. But I lived in an apartment where my shower didn't have hot water, and I showered with cold water for a year and a half, I guess. It's what I lived there, and it has some good things, but it's also it's a cold shower, so.
So what Diego's saying is get on his level. 30 days, he did a year and a half.
That's where it starts, though. But you hear all these great things about cold showers are good for your health, good for your skin. But I think it's good for your mindset. I think on the same time as it all, it's, it starts your day with, I've overcome something that is not comfortable. It's not fun. It's stepping outside of my comfort zone. We go back to that conversation, and every day it's gonna be a brisk wake up. We're gonna try it out. I don't want to do it forever, but 30 days. I do want to go back to a warm shower. So that's where I'm gonna be for my New Year's resolution. New Year, new me. Getting outside of my warm zone and into my cold uncomfort zone. What about you, Diego?
I don't do specific resolutions, but I think I always have this two, three areas where I know I want to be better, like in general. So as long as I keep making progress towards those, I don't think I look at it like what's going to happen next year, but more like what happened this year and what did I accomplish and which ones I need to get better on the next one. But it's more like that. It's not, I don't know. I think in general, that's what I do. Just know what's the goal or where you want to be and don't really know what's going to be the road to get there. But as long as you keep that objective clear, I think you will find your path to get there. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Like it's accomplishments, get better. Yeah, I feel like I do that. I'm like, wow, that was a doozy of a year, but at least I did this. But next year I really should do this. But yeah, I can do that. I can do some vague reservations.
So I think that reflection is key more so than anything else, right? We're all on our journey of, climbing this mountain here. And it's easy to take short sprints into something and get it going and build up your habits, build up your stamina into it all. But you got to know where you've been, and with that reflection time, alongside with cold showers, I want to start doing, daily. I'm kind of on the fence, daily journaling, just how my day was, and that way get it out there, or daily meditation. I'm going to try one of the two. And then that way at the end of the year, reflection when I'm doing like my budget analysis of my blowing out my budget, personal spending and all of that good stuff, and then where I am from a work standpoint and personal standpoint. Did I close my rings for 8 months because I got to be just that much better than Zach when it comes to fitness? Did I accomplish all of that? And then, I like what you said, Diego, that it comes back to keeping your vision out there. Like, how did this reflect to who I want to become in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road? And did all of those steps that I take from a 1% improvement, that we talked about before, lead into all of that? And I think it's a good time for reflection.
You know what will be a great journaling method for you? Using that app that we just talked about, BeReal. So you journal with your selfies and pictures.
Okay.
Be real.
I don't do social media, but for everyone that hasn't heard of it, I just discovered this myself when my daughter had it on her phone. I'm like, what's this BeReal notification? And brushed it off, whatever. She's not supposed to have social media yet. But anyway, so I found out, from both of you, you can't scroll on it unless you take a selfie when it tells you to, which is kind of weird. Anyway, so I take a selfie.
But the app is all about, being real and authentic. So whatever situation you're in, whatever that's like the whole timing notification, because I think the thought, this is just my thought, and clearly, from the beginning of the episode, I can't put together even words today, but it's taking away like the filtering of all the images, the planning for the right time to post, like that pressure of social media and like trying to expand your audience, your views, your likes, your follows. And it's just, you're being real. Like you might be like in bed, whatever.
So I discovered the other day, right, what you just said. I took one, deleted it because I didn't like it. Then I took the second one and I was like, I think I can do better. Deleted the second time. And then it didn't let me post the third one. And it said specifically, you deleted the last 2 reels you posted. You cannot post again until tomorrow. So in defense of your daughter, Joe, I think it's not real social media.
Okay. Going back to the daily journaling, alongside with that, there is power with being vulnerable out there and showcasing, hey, I had a tough day, or hey, I had some challenges, or I had some wins. So I'll have to think about it. I might be real and journal aloud for all to read. I mean, why not? What's the worst that's going to happen? I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I love being part of that creator economy. That's what we're trying to do here, is create something new and different and just spark some conversation and ideas. Diego, you're really great at the creator economy itself, and how do you feel BeReal is going to impact this creator economy of 17 million people?
I think it is an alternative, actually, because I don't see like brands or anybody from that creator economy or the traditional creator economy getting involved in that, and it's more like an alternative for everyone else who's kind of tired of that, right? Kind of tired of the influencers and the YouTubers and all them in your face with whatever products they got free and whatever beautiful places they are traveling to and all of that kind of stuff. But the creator economy is interesting too, because there are so many people that call themselves creators, but so little who are actually making a living out of it, and so little that are making really good money out of it. But everybody's trying to be part of that, right?
I mean, I think it's insane, like seeing the different articles, highlights, Forbes, whatever, how much people are making. And then you see in the same token, these people that are that, like TikTok, for example, is notorious for it. But these people will do like backup accounts so they can be more authentic and real and unpolished on these backup accounts. And then their backup accounts have millions of followers within months. And so now they have like they're running multiple accounts with millions of followers on both realms. And it's like it's chaos. I mean, money chaos.
And with our money chaos, why don't we talk into how we can start communicating from starting. We've all been there where we're learning how to communicate and say resolution or chaos, but now we've got to start learning how to empower others and motivate others. And from a leadership standpoint, I'll be vulnerable, like I talked about before. My first time I was ever a coach in a call center world, you go back to what you know. And what do you know from leadership at a very young age, or first time in any leadership role? It's what your parents tell you what to do. Those are your authoritative figures. They're telling you what to do. And so, of course, I went, you need to do this. But why? Because I said so. We all know that is not a good leadership methodology, and I'm thankful I've grown beyond that, over the past years. But let's talk about your first experiences as being a leader. Zach, I know you're fresher and closer to that beginning of leadership than I am. So, what was your experience of going from frontline agent up to a leadership role?
My biggest hurdle was, and now I've gone past it, right? But my first hurdle was I started leadership relatively young. And so probably 90+% of the people I was leading were older than I was. So you're going back to a time where, like you just said, you're learning from guardians, parents, grandparents, family members, teachers, kind of that whole realm of you have to do this, and this is why. And also was like fresh. It was in college when I started leading as well. So I didn't really have much experience. I was only on the front lines for maybe a couple of years before I was in leadership. So for me, it was really uncomfortable. Like, how do I just lead and get people to trust? Because that's the biggest thing, right? How can we get that trust and get somebody behind me? And I realized quickly it starts with being relatable and my language that I'm using. And that is what has transpired my whole career. I was able to just start that strong relationships with people and understand there's a human approach behind it with, there's empathy, understanding. And we talk about this in the communication series. You have to be open, you have to be responsive, and you can hold people accountable, but do it with expectations that aren't, or this, if you don't, this is happening. Like that harsh dialect doesn't have to happen.
Much agreed. I like what you said there. Just building that open, relatable trust, and you're starting to seek out knowledge and figure out human-to-human relationships at a very young age of being that leader itself. And it's different. And we all had good frontline leaders and not, and we say, "Ooh, that doesn't feel good. That's not right." And you said it yourself. You're humble enough to know that you were doing something wrong and you had to seek out something else to change it. Diego, what was your frontline experience like when you made that transition up to a leader?
My first transition to leadership was also coming from, okay, let's try to do the journey. Frontline, taking calls, to training development, to social media listening. And when we started doing social media listening, it became a team, and I started leading that team. And that was chaos. I think that didn't work out well. But I learned a lot from it, right? I learned a lot from not knowing how to lead a team in a new industry at that time. But I think so far my lessons have been similar to what Zach just said. Building that trust with the teams that you lead, or with the people that you lead in general, right? And be relatable, but also like that happens when you're willing to get your hands dirty, and when you're willing to put in the work. And yeah, it's not like I'm up here leading from here telling you all what you have to do. I actually can do this with you, right? I can go there with you and do it because I'm with you here. And then maybe the other key thing for me has been learning what type of leader I can be and what type of leader I am not. Right? I think I've the biggest thing I've learned is I'm good at, and maybe it ties to what I was talking about with resolutions. I'm good at having a vision, knowing where I want to go, or where this should be going, or where this could grow. But I'm really bad at doing the actual tasks that require us to get there. So I have pretty much always like tag teamed with someone who helps me do the execution. So I can do the strategic and vision part of it, and somebody helps me with the holding us accountable to get there.
You brought up something that the partnership and finding strength within your team. And I was thinking throughout all of that is something I still have some struggle with, right? I think as in a leadership role, when you're communicating and trying to perfect kind of your dialect or anything like that, there's no perfect dialect. And that's something I struggle with. I mean, we probably, most of us have a perfectionist side, right? You always want to sound eloquent. You always want to not pronounce an easy word like chaos incorrectly, but it happens. Nonetheless, you don't always have to have the perfect response or the perfect answer. You don't always have to have an answer. And even in those high pressure situations where maybe you're delivering some difficult news to your teammates or your team, coworkers, things of that nature, you have the ability to be a human and take something back and say, I don't quite know that yet. Or I'm going to be totally, one of the phrases I use a lot, I'm going to be transparent with you. I can't agree to that right now, or I don't know that right now, but let me look into that one a little bit more. I'll come back to it. And setting up that expectation, I think we talked about that in a series before then, of like setting expectations of, I'm going to come back to this at this time, or we'll come back to this next week and we'll dive into this a little bit more, because I'll be honest, I'm still learning on this page too. So that humble approach, as Joe said, humble in your communications, it goes back to the app that we were just talking about. It's being real, and there's power behind that.
Keep it real, be humble. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it, apologize, and figure out how to fix it. I mean, I think that's simple in itself. I think where I struggled from transitioning from an agent up to a frontline leader way back when, was going out of that execution mode. I've been so working on my KPIs, right? I want my quality to be perfect. I want my HT to be down. We all know that's a struggle for me. But we know how to get the job done. And then making that transition to, how do I showcase the skills and abilities? Because most of the time in the call center world, or in a lot of production areas, is you're in the consideration to become a leader because you are so good on executing, and so you have good metrics, you have this, and that's why you're taking this initial step into the leadership role itself. And now you've got to learn the harder thing, which is, I can get in the trenches, I can do this as good as anybody out there, but how do I tell you how to do it? How do I showcase how to do this? How do I empower you to become better than I will ever be? Because the next person down the road, I guarantee you, will be better than I ever did it. Like, I hit all my numbers, but you're going to smoke my numbers out of the water, and that's okay. So how do we make that transition, and how do we communicate that of, it's not what I say, it's how do you do it? How are you going to overcome those challenges? And as soon as we start to think it's not about myself, it's about, I need to be there for you, to support your challenges. I'm not going to give you the answers, because then you never learn from that, right? That's the hardest part, I think. We all want, I remember when I was on the phones, just give me the answers. I'm the best leaders ever. I'm like, well, what do you think? I don't know. I just need you to tell me what to do, right? We all said that at one point in time, but they
Give me the script.
hand me the script. But they made it so it was me thinking how to solve the business challenge or the customer challenge, or just go beyond myself. And now I started to learn about the next level of items that are out there.
And sometimes when you're leading, or when you're an early leader, like at the beginning of your leadership career, you want to prove that you know everything, and you want to give all the answers yourself, right? You want to tell people how to do things. And that, what you said, is very crucial, to just let them come up with the answers themselves. Even if you know it, just hold it and ask them, how will you fix that, or how will you work on that? And hey, maybe even a better answer comes out of the people that you're working with, right? And it doesn't have to be your way all the time.
And it doesn't always have to be within like 2 seconds. That's something I guess I'm being vulnerable this episode, because that's another thing that I've always struggled with, and throughout most of my career, Joe's probably witnessed it multiple times, is I always have this urge to like get something off my desk, right? Just reply fast, get the email out, get the DM out, be done with it. Like there's something about me that I go to that. But in those communications, when I do that, oftentimes I mess up. I'm rushing to complete a deliverable, and I miss a question that was asked of me. I miss, maybe really articulating the message that somebody was trying to get help on, or maybe a client was trying to get an answer on, or I miss a data point. There's just a lot of times when you're, like you said, Jacob, you're trying to be so perfect and have the right answers. There's also times where you're trying to just deliver, because maybe, to Joe's point, you were always in that top delivery mode, in that execution, and you've always been fast. But when you're communicating as a leader, you have to have that time for reflection and realizing what you said. Are there times where you're going to have to just communicate quickly and get it out there? Sure. But you can come back to it and kind of resolve it after. But I would say a lot of the times you have time to take a minute, pause. Emails don't have to be responded to within 2 seconds. Like, how have you like combated some of those communication, like, I guess, constraints, or yourself, like, sabotage moments?
Ooh, I'll jump in here. So for a while, there was a one-size-fits-all approach. No matter the problem, here's how we're going to solve it. And so many challenges are unique, and the more we grow as an industry, the more we grow as a company, the more we grow as leaders, we find that that's not the way that's there. And sometimes it's absolutely appropriate to say, I do not have an answer for this. I will come back to you. Right. I think we miss a lot of that sometimes. Sometimes we have a customer on the phone. We can't take our time and, come back 30 minutes later to your answer. That I see your question. I'm going to go research it, and I'm going to come right back to you. Just keep that customer engaged, and we're going to solve this together. But at the same time, hey, where have you looked? Where have you gone into your knowledge base? Where have you try to seek out this information that's going to solve it? You said so many great things that I wanted to go back and unpack there, but I really think it comes down to defining the moment, right? What is the moment in itself that we're trying to solve? And this is, as a first-time frontline leader, I didn't know about. No one really broke it down for me. It's, you have I got to solve this problem now. Right. So there's the customers on the line. They're not happy. We want to solve them. We want to fix the challenge that they have, and then there's we got a 30-minute problem. We have a large queue coming. We've got to get more GBAs or frontline agents onto the phones. We've got to increase our staffing. So how are we going to solve this for this point in time? And then there's, the one-day problems where we foresee something happening, forecast is changing, or plans are changing, and we need to come up with a very good plan for it. But I was like you, Zach, and I just wanted to get it off my plate.
How do you, as we're talking about those, because you mentioned a lot of high pressure situations when you're becoming a frontline leader, right? Mm-hmm. You want to impress. I think we've all made that clear. You want to impress, you want to deliver, you want to be quick, you want to be right. You want to say the right things. One of the other pieces that I kind of touched on when we opened up this episode is language. And how do you realize your language when you're going through all of this? Because a lot of times you're having to convey a message to a team, whether it's counterparts, maybe it's agents or wherever office setting you're in, people that are direct reports or their business partners or anything along those lines, but you're having to deliver the message or the voice. How do you have that self-actualization moment of, okay, I'm coming off really harsh, or this is not a good message, but how do I deliver this softer? I think that is a big hurdle when becoming a frontline leader.
I think it's being self-aware, right? And just trying to look at yourself from the other side and what you're saying. And yeah, it's practice also, because it's not going to be perfect the first time. And it's also as you keep doing it, you keep getting better at being self-conscious. But at the beginning, it's just about that, right? It's just maybe speaking slow and maybe taking your 5 seconds to think what is the next sentence you're going to say. But just make sure that in general, it's well said and it's not.
No, great points there, Diego. And I'd like to just hop in. As far as the communication, I think once you become a leader, not everyone is a natural born leader. And some have to work really, really hard at it. And there's so many books, podcasts, webinars, courses to become a leader. And what does that mean? So there's just a plethora of information out there to help with that transition from frontline into a leadership role. But what you really have to look at it from that, getting to your question, Zach, is you have to open that relationship, right? We're human beings to each other. And if I didn't know you ever, and you never spoke to me before, and you came in and you said, hey, your AHT is too high, you need to get it down. Okay, guy, right? Whatever you say, I'm moving on with my day. But, if one of you came in and say, hey, Joe, your handle time when you're talking is just too high. What can we do to get it down? I think now you said we, because we're going to work together on this. We're going to work moving forward-esque, right? It's not about what you did bad before. It's what you're going to do great from in the future. But it really comes down to, it takes time, like Diego said, but you've got to network with your peers of your new leaders. Some have been doing it a little bit longer. I still learn to this day from everyone, right? Titles matter nothing. I'm asking and I'm observing and I'm seeing how you're doing it. I think starting to be open to more possibilities of how to do something and to make those decisions. I mean, of course, I want to jump back into execution mode. I have a pretty good ability to analyze different scenarios and then say, you know what, this is probably where I think the best pathway and outcome is going to be. But it comes from all of these inputs that are coming in there, from listening, hearing, and then saying, all right, here's the pathway we're going to go, and here's what we need to work on together. So I think that it just takes time, Zach, to answer your question. Be open, and really it's just being humble that you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's okay.
And you're going to continue to make mistakes, because let's be honest, I've made countless throughout this week, right? When I'm in a meeting and I've reflected and I've been literally in the meeting and had an answer to a question or something, and I pause, somebody's answering back, and I'm like, wow, I did not even answer that question at all, or okay, that made no sense, or my tone was very pointed, or any of those. You got to realize that's ever evolving, and you're never going to have that.
And as with everything we've said, I think it's just be yourself, right? The best person you can be is yourself. So be honest, transparent, and work on yourself, but just be you.
Be you and be adaptable. I love it. And, just continually to work on yourself as far as these skills. Continuous learning is what it's there as soon as you have the titled position. It doesn't stop there, right? There's more to learn. There's more layers and levels of leadership and how to influence and empower others, and then really to motivate them. There's no right way, no wrong way to do it all. There's a right place and a right time for a lot of different styles and leadership out there, and for personalities as well. It's just trying to be real, be humble, and be adaptive and flexible to where you're in right now. And as soon as you say, I'm okay to make mistakes, and you're in a safe environment, it gets a lot easier to become that frontline leader and start making your pathway forward. This has been a great conversation of making that transition from execution and production to frontline leadership. I think we could go 90 more minutes on this one, but we're going to continue it here. Next week, we're going to talk about taking that leadership and starting to work with other leaders, right? That's a whole different ballgame of conversations and starting to learn to be a frontline leader to working up within an organization itself. But first, I forgot it last week, guys, and we just kind of ended, and I almost did it again, but I think we need to do a quick pick'em to close us out here.
Let's do it.
Who's got a question?
I got one that I have in my notes from last week.
When Joe just totally, and afterwards I was kind of thinking the whole time as we ended the show is like, he was just gonna keep like flying down the jet path of something.
Flying down the jet path of something. All right, we've got a quote that's powerful to end us. No, this is a great vulnerable episode.
Zach can't talk is gonna be the title, but not really. All right, David, what's your question?
Yeah, take it away.
It's gonna make you more vulnerable now. What is the most useless talent you have?
Ooh.
I'll start with mine because now I have a week to think about this. I can remember like trivia kind of stuff, but I can't remember the really important stuff. So I can remember, like right now, World Cup stuff, right? I can remember who scored a goal or what was, I don't know, like a play in 1994 or something like that. But I can't remember, I don't know, maybe my credit card PIN or something like that.
Okay.
I would say like I'm one of those ones. I feel like it's not like the most classy thing to show on camera, so I probably won't. But you can do like the clover thing with your tongue, like where you like pinch the top of your tongue, and like I can do that type of deal. Yeah, like that, what Joe's doing, But yeah, and like the whole double jointed thing. Like I feel like those like body things are just useless.
I'm stumped. I don't know what to say for a useless talent.
Are all your talents useful or are you just talentless?
His ability to ramble, I guess. That's what we'll just name it for him.
But that's not useless, though. It will always be fun. Never be dead air. It'll always be a good conversation. Sometimes that's one way. And when in a pinch, when you need a lecturer, I'm great. Like I can take any topic, read a teleprompter, and lecture away. So I don't know if that's useless. Help me out. What else? Make me vulnerable. What are my useless talents?
I don't even know.
Tell us at btb@oiteam.com.
Okay, yeah, we'll put it out to the world there. All right, that's a great one. I have a question for both of you. As we are headed into the new year, what makes you feel unstoppable?
I think like a good song, like a power song while I'm working out, like good lyrics and like a good like message, and I'm just like visualizing me just crushing something. I don't know.
Endorphins and coffee, I guess, for me.
Endorphins and coffee.
So does the coffee happen before the bike ride or
After? Always after, yeah.
Okay.
Might take one espresso before just to get up and actually start writing, but usually it's just after.
Okay.
I'm gonna go the same pathway. Pre-workout is the most amazing thing ever invented. You have a scoop full of pre-workout, and literally I could pick a car up over my head. Definitely feel unstoppable with that. All right. Do we have any more quick pick'ems?
I feel like I'm always food focused, but I like to just indulge. I'm a foodie. And I don't think I've asked this one before. What is, because well, maybe not everybody does it, but for like Friday nights for me, if it's not Friday night, it's definitely Saturday night where like I have an indulging meal. Because I've been relatively good all week, hit my water, worked out, and I'm like, it's a reward, like Friday, Saturday. What is your like go-to reward meal? Like whether it's a certain type of food or like a very specific, what's your go-to?
So I do not have a go-to meal, but I do every Friday night have my cheat meal for the week, and my whole goal is to try a new restaurant every week and try something different. I do not order the same things on menus. I try to get something different. So my indulgence is trying a new food because I too like to taste things after a long, grueling week of chicken, broccoli, and rice, to get something varied in my diet. That's what I do. What about you?
It's probably a good thing that you don't live in like a small town where you have like 4 restaurants, because then that plan would be out the window.
Very much so. Very blessed to be within 30 minutes of fantastic cuisine, a lot of local restaurants.
We do have pancake sundae, but maybe pizza or burgers. I don't know. I have this one that's kind of like guilty pleasure, which is, it's gonna sound super bad, but I love eating Taco Bell. It just brings back some
Yes.
memories from from really bad times in my life, I guess, where that was an indulgence going to Taco Bell. But I still do it like every now and then. It's like, ooh, Taco Bell, and just go to a drive-through, come home, eat it all, and then regret.
I know Joe
So
has
good.
something to say around this, but I am the same way. I actually was sitting there just randomly watching TV this week, and I was like, I could probably eat Taco Bell every week. Like it's like my guilty pleasure fast food. Like I don't know, I love their fire sauce. I don't know. It's something about it for me. I was on that same note. I'm glad we're in sync. I know Joe can see by his facial
I
reactions.
can
He is
tell,
not
yeah.
Team Taco Bell.
I'm getting nauseous just thinking about it. That was my first job. 14 and a half years old, I worked Taco Bell, and when you work there, you eat there, and I never want to touch it. It was about 20 years after I worked there. We were on a road trip, and hit one of those small towns that we talked about, and there was no real other choice. I was like, yeah, and both my daughters were like, "Oh, we never get to eat it. Let's try it." And I had it. I was like, nope. Scarred personal memories, I guess, from it was a dark place for me as well. Just, I don't
Different
want
type of dark.
different side of the restaurant, I guess to say. But yeah, I that was the one time since I worked there that I've eaten it, and I have not been back, and I probably won't ever go back.
Makes sense. I would, yeah. Taco Bell is not usually like my Friday go-to. It's just a random one, but I am a pizza, like total, like dip the pizza in some garlic sauce, like pizza delivery, call that a day. And then if it's not that, then I guess I can crush through some like snacks, like some cheese and crackers or some chips and dip. Like those are probably like my comfort things right there. Just like, don't look at me. I'm not gonna go near a mirror or a camera because I look like a exactly. Like it's not a proud moment in my life, but it's my reward.
I'm on the same pathway. I know you don't have as much of a sweet tooth, but I mean, I could do like chips, Cheez-Its. I could do all the salty, savory snacks, and I could do cookies and sweet stuff just right on top of it. And that's dangerous, and why I have to work out so much, I think, is because I can demolish some comfort food like that.
So you're like Buddy the Elf. I mean, this episode coming out right at the holidays, and the episode, or not the episode, but the movie where he has the spaghetti and he's just loading it with syrup and all.
My youngest wants to try it. She goes, "Can we try it?" And I'm like, no, but I kind of am interested as well. Well, this has been a great episode of talking about a communication, of moving from frontline to frontline leadership, and just some of those pathways of empowering and motivating others. We all want to stay influencers, just as we were in our peer-to-peer networks, and that same pathway and progress does not change. One thing that I'm reminded of is a quote by Warren G. Bennis: "Becoming a leader is synonymous with becoming yourself." It is precisely that simple, and yet it is also that difficult. With that, as always, #keep learning, and let us know what you're learning about too. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more great content. And if you'd like to reach out to us, we would welcome you to email us at btb@oiteam.com. Join us next week as we wrap up our communication series. I think we got some good topic to discuss through there. I'll leave it a little bit vague for that reason. I am Joe Bear, and for my co-hosts, Zach and Diego, this is Behind the Beard. Hashtag Omniverse to the moon. Great. Here we go. All right. Wow, that was bad.
There were so many edits.
All right, you've lost it. Cool. So this is going to be talking about leadership. Super fun.
Ali.
What?
You froze, Diego.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't quick enough to screenshot it. It's like you're like wasted. Like you had a wasted face. Like it was like